Hi, I'm Mixie Doyle. Some of you may know me as my temporary name, Kier, and I'm non binary and neurodivergent. I came out as non binary only there a few years ago, the night before the first ever Trans Pride Dublin, which is happening this weekend. And I've been so lucky to be supported in my journey by so many friends and loved ones. And a huge part of that support network has been by my neurokin. I have never felt like I fit inside the gender binary. And I always remember describing myself growing up as, oh, I don't feel like a girl. I don't feel like a boy. Like, who cares about gender? I was so dismissive of my own gender, and I couldn't understand how people related to gender. It didn't make sense to me. I couldn't separate them out. And when I found the term non-binary, it was that revelation. It was that moment of, yes, this is it. It was actually genderqueer I found first, and it just made perfect sense to me. I have always found it really difficult that the world sees me as a woman. And while I got more and more accustomed to people calling me Kier and using they, them pronouns, in medical professions, settings in particular, I found it really hard because they always insist on using my dead name, my legal name, and always insists on referring to me as a woman and as female and all this. That's why when I came across a therapist who supported me being queer, I was delighted. I am multiply neurodivergent, and I am BPDer, and I attended DPT therapy. And my DPT therapist was lovely, and she referred to me as Kier. And even in the group therapy, I advocated for myself and told them to refer to me as Kier and they them. That was it, and they did, and it was nice. But then I completely lucked out. I'm so privileged, and I know this because I then moved on to a new therapist who assessed me for autism and done trauma therapy work with me around my BPD. And it doesn't feel like he tolerates me being non-binary. It feels like that's who he sees me as. He sees the true me. He refers to me as Kier. He uses they, them pronouns. Even in my autism report, the very first page has to have my official legal name, but every other page of that refers to me as Kier and they, them. And it talks about my gender exploration in my autism report. I had never thought I would see a psychological report that I feel happy about. Yet that autism report I received last year talked about my autistic traits in such a positive light, and talked about my transgenderedness as not an issue, not a problem, just something that I am. It was so reassuring. And I know I'm so privileged in that aspect because unfortunately not many of my non-binary neurodivergent counterparts have a similar story. And that's really upsetting for me because we are more likely to identify as non-binary than the neuromajorities. Therefore, we already live such invalidating lives, so many of us. To be invalidated down by our mental health professions is infuriating. I got lucky, and I wish I hadn't. Well, no, sorry. I got lucky. I'm glad I did. I wish more people had that experience. Apologies. Being non-binary just makes sense to me. Just the same way my neurodivergencies make sense to me. Sorry. And it's so funny the way my gender expressions can help with my neurodivergencies. I cut my hair really short there a few years ago. It's after growing out since, but I did cut it really short. And the gender, it was like really far down my back. And the gender euphoria that came with cutting my hair was incredible. But it also had added side effects when it comes to my neurodivergencies. I suffer from migraines and I have intracranial hypertension, both of which turns out not having a head of really heavy hair can take a lot of pressure off the pain in your brain. And when it came to my autistic sensory issues, sensitivities, the heat wasn't as bad. I didn't find that as overwhelming. There can be days where I struggle to separate out what is gender dysphoria and what is neurodivergent traits. A lot of women's clothing are very restrictive and can cause sensory nightmares. But there are days where I can't figure out if the problem I'm having with that particular piece of clothing is from a sensory point of view or a gender point of view. Not that it actually matters, but it's liberating to be able to reject those social norms and just wear what feels comfortable on that given day. And it's something I wish everybody would embrace regardless of their gender, but I know it is hard in our society. Sorry, my dog apparently wants to get in on the fun. I hope that one day in the near future, non-binary people will have legal recognition in Ireland. But until that moment, I'm glad that we have supportive spaces, like in our trans community, and for those of us who are neurodivergent, places like Neuro Pride Ireland is a relief. It is freeing to be who you are and to be and know you're going to be respected for that. Not have people misgender you on purpose or dead name you just because that's who you are to them. I know that there is common fights for us. The neurodivergent community fights for acceptance and awareness. Same with the non-binary community And as I say, there is a huge overlap anyway between the two communities. Being gender non-conforming can have implications on neurodivergent assessments, as the medical profession isn't always as accepting, understanding, or as knowledgeable in the area. And likewise, being neurodivergent can have implications on people seeking legal gender recognition or transition. This shouldn't be the case. And we'll fight that fight. And we will continue to do it. And today on International Non-Binary People's Day, yes, I am proud to be non-binary. And I am proud to be neurodivergent. And I am so proud of this community that has been built where people aren't as hesitant to say those two things within our Neuro Pride Ireland community. However, it doesn't mean I'm going to ignore the fight we still have. The fight for recognition, the fight for fair and equal access to health, mental health, providers, physical health providers, and medical transition if that's what somebody seeks. Too many neurodivergencies are gatekept as gendered diagnosed by the medical health profession. That gets more complicated if you're non-binary. And I hope that we will continue to raise awareness and continue to fight that system that tries to squeeze us into a box. We'll keep fighting. But while we're fighting, we'll also celebrate each other, uphold our dignity, and love and support each other. Because the community is what makes the fight worth fighting. It's what makes it possible to fight. I love all my fellow non-binary people. I love our community. And I love Neuro Pride Ireland for giving us a space where we can be us. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'm sorry for the dog interruptions, and I'm sorry that I'm a bit stumbly today and not as eloquent as I would have hoped. It's one of the joys of living with conditions like migraines and being chronically ill. Thank you, and happy International Non-Binary People's Day. Bye.